It can be difficult to have too little time in the season. Are you changing the group a lot? The Leafs did not lose their last game in Vancouver because of all the new bodies. Anyway, not first. The bad practice of power play unit number 1 caused 2 points to slip against another mediocre team. However, there is no doubt that Leafs is currently largely in the process of adaptation. Drawing 6 players from 4 different teams will do this. The front desk believes that there is enough time before the playoffs for everything to come together. There are currently 19 games left there. Auston Matthews said about the team's current situation, "We're still trying to find our way. Sometimes it takes time, especially when you have a lot of new guys. Many players who are still trying to get used to their teammates, system, coaches, everything new." Jake Muzzin, who joined Leafs in 2019 with a mid-season swap from the Kings, once said it took him more than 2 months to make himself feel at home with his new team until playoffs. Leafs currently has 6 players trying to make this adjustment. 1/3 of the skaters in the last 2 games were new players. Jake McCabe is facing off with the Canucks forward JT Shafts. But a lot of people talk outside, which makes my job easier. It will just be easier. As McCabe points out, defending for Leafs means feeling more free to pinch in the offense zone because of how responsible strikers are. But it's an adjustment, an instinct that needs to take over. One of many things for McCabe. In almost every shift in the last 2 games, all 6 of those players played, while Leafs had 2 to 3 players on the ice who weren't around a few weeks ago. New lines and new defensive matches are in the early stages of getting used to. McCabe is still getting used to playing with TJ Brodie. O'Reilly played with almost every striker before leaving Saturday's game with an injury. Schenn tries to get familiar with Morgan Rielly's often unpredictable tendencies. Penalty killing includes a handful of new ingredients: McCabe, Schenn, Acciari, Lafferty, O'Reilly. Same deal with power play unit 2. Gustafsson scored points with 4 new teammates against Calgary and Vancouver. Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe should probably move away from playing 11 strikers and 7 defenders. Keefe wanted Schenn and Gustafsson to join the cast immediately. Understandable. However, it is made for combinations mixed from shift to shift. It is difficult, if not impossible, for new combos to get used to each other in this way. Persistence requires persistence. The fact that many of these new players join the team on the road is both positive and negative. The revamped Leafs needs time to gel. They seem like they have enough. 5 points. How Keefe and goalkeeper coach Curtis Sanford shared the remaining 19 stars at this point. Ilya Samsonov won the right to be a provisional lead role. This season he has stopped 13 goals in 32 games, more than expected. Just outside the top 10 in the league with 22 wins. Does Murray get 2 starts each? Or is Leafs now back with Murray? The program will warm up again soon. Samsonov will probably start when the Leafs finish their trip in New Jersey on Tuesday night. Does he hold the net when they return home to face the Oilers on Saturday? Is Leafs returning to Murray? Leafs wants to put Murray on his shoulders, given his history of injury. This leads us to question 2. Can Murray stay healthy? This is more than performance. It will always be the primary question of the 28-year-old. Is the ankle problem that plagued him before he stopped playing for 5 weeks over and now over? Will anything else open up? Who wins in overtime and playoffs? Samsonov got ahead, but the playoff race really starts now. The goalkeeper who played best throughout March and April will most likely be the goalkeeper when the playoffs against Tampa begin next month. I'm probably saying more because of Murray and his playoff background. When all is equal and Leafs won, he is more likely than not to change his way in the match. It's also very likely that both goalkeepers will eventually play against Lightning. And on top of that, If Leafs get what they want, Matt Murray rescues Canucks defender Christian Wolanin. 2 is O'Reilly? O'Reilly received a Matthews burst from his left hand late in his second period on Saturday and did not return in the third period. If he's going to miss time, the Leafs have some options. At least in the middle of his line, though. Obviously, losing O'Reilly would be a big blow. It has a bit more offensive direction than Kämpf. He played an average of 15.5 minutes per game in February, from 17 minutes per night in January. He has only 1 goal and a couple of assists in his last 7 matches and has generally not had a noisy presence. I think Kämpf played better than Bunts, Keefe said of the change. Bunting has been getting a lot of penalties at some point lately, and he's been crossing the line he needs to wander at his fingertips very well. Since then has calmed down. He has only taken 1 penalty in the last 9 games, but seems to have lost something in the process. Fire, energy, sizzling, all decreased a little. That is what makes your job difficult. Still, you don't want him to take a penalty, upset the referees, and distract his attention from what really matters. Especially when playing with players like Auston and Mitch. He still brings so much fire and passion to his game that if he doesn't have it, he won't be as effective. Bunting needs to find that balance again in the coming weeks. This is a very important part, especially after the season. Is strong on his feet, really good at defense, knows how to play, knows his role. He will not be defeated very often. I think that is a great part. Schenn's physicality,